Today's lesson would be regarding direct proportion. I'll do direct proportion in this lesson and inverse proportion next lesson. When you're given a question like x is directly proportional to y, given x equals 15, when y equals 5, find a formula connecting x and y, and b, find the value of x when y equals 5. Okay, this is the sort of question you're given. So we need to write all these English sentence into a maths notation. X is directly. They may not use the word directly. If they say x is proportional, means automatically directly. So if you didn't hear or given the word directly, you assume that it is direct. So x proportional, and that's a symbol for proportionality. It looks like alpha, 2y. So all that in English is written in short in maths. That symbol, really, there isn't much we can do with it. All it tells me x is proportional to y. In order to use this as a formula, we replace that sign of proportionality to equals k. So we have x equals ky. So I'll write that again. So x equals k times y. Now, we are using the initial condition. It said when x is 15, y is 5. Because we need to calculate k. And we need information regarding x and y. So I'm going to replace x as 15 and y as 5. So that means 15 equals 5k. Therefore, k equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. Now, in order to complete the formula, I'm going to replace the value of k, 3, into our equation. So now I've got a formula. That's part A. The formula is x equals 3y. So I've answered part A, which is formula connecting x and y. Here we go. X is 3y. Part B, they're asking me find the value of x when y is 5. So x equals 3. Instead of y, we put 5. So x equals 15. Next example of direct proportion. We are given that y is directly proportional to the square of x. So that means x squared. Y is proportional to x squared, or square of x. We need some boundary condition. The question knows that we need to calculate the value of k, which we have to introduce. So given if y equals 64, when x equals 2, find y when x equals 5. So they may write it like that. All the information you need is here. First, you're told that it's a proportional directly, or the word direct, as I mentioned before, could be omitted. So here we go. Y proportional directly, you write directly what I've told you. Square of x, or x squared. As you remember, I mentioned that sign of proportionality is really not useful. So I'm going to change this to equals k. So we have y equals k x squared. So I write it here. So this is an equation that I made from the proportionality ratio or proportionality statement. So y equals kx squared. I need to find k. They know I need to find k, therefore they give me, this is called the boundary condition, when you're given values for x and y. So the only unknown would be k to be obtained. So y is 64, given in the question, and k, x is 2. So 64 equals 4k. Dividing both sides by 4. K equals 16. You now need to replace k equals 16 in that equation that we constructed. So y equals 16 x squared. That is the formula connecting x and y. They didn't mention find the formula. They said find y when x is 5. But unless you have a formula, you can't do that. So if they didn't mention find the formula, you have to find the formula automatically. So here we go. When x equals 5, y equals 16, that's a 5 squared. That's 16 times 25. And I think that's 250, I think that's 400. Another example, in this question we are told P varies directly as the cube of Q. When P equals 81, Q equals 3. Find P when Q equals 5. Okay. Same procedure. P varies or proportional. They may use the word varies instead of proportional. Varies directly or proportional directly as the cube of Q, means Q to the power of 3 cubed. So if you remember, we changed the proportional side to equal k. So P equals k Q cubed. So this is now a formula connecting P and Q. Here I need to now use the boundary conditions where I know the value of both P and Q into the formula, so I can find the value of constant K. So here 81 for P, K and Q is 3 to the power of 3. So 81 equals 27K. If you divide by 27, K would be 3. Replace that into the formula, so we have no unknown constant, which is now 3. P equals 3 Q cubed. That's my formula. I use the formula to answer the question, find value of P when Q is 5. For that one, I probably need the calculator. So that is 3, 5 to the power of 3. So that's 3 times 125. It's actually done with the calculator, that will be 375. 5 cubed is 125. 3 lots of 125 is 375. Okay, let's do another question. Sometimes the information given to you in a table form. So the boundary condition and the requirement of the question is in a table, which I'm going to show you. This question says y is directly proportional to the cube of x. And it says complete the table. And they would give you a table, x, y, give you the value of x, and they ask you to find value of y, give you value of x and value of y. They give you value of x to find value of y, they give you value of y to find value of x. So all the gaps, it's a table. I can just draw the table. Okay, so let's begin the question with our usual start. Y is directly proportional to the cube of x. So y proportional to the cube of x. So by now you know you need to replace the sign of proportionality to equals k. So y equals k x cubed. Now our boundary conditions is somewhere here in the table. There. So indirectly they've told me, or directly they've told me, when x is 8, y is 254. So let's replace. Y 256, k 8 to the power of 3. 8 to the power of 3 is 512. Therefore, k equals half. I'm going to replace that in here. So y equals half x cubed, my formula. Now, I can now answer the question based on the table. When x is 2, I replace here. When x is 10, I replace here. When y is 950, I replace in here. So when x equals 2, y would be half of 2 cubed. 2 cubed is 8. Half of it is 4. So here I fill the table with the value of y when x is 2. Same formula again. Y equals half of x cubed, and here x is 10. So when x equals 10, y equals half of 10 cubed. That is 1,000, half of 1,000, which is 500. So the 500 goes there. And next part, they're asking you to find the value of x. Find x when y is 950. Okay, so in this case, replace that in the formula again. Y is, let me use the formula again. Y equals half x cubed. Y is 950 because half x cubed. Multiply both sides by 2. And then we need to find the cube root. In this case, the cube root of 1900. To one decimal place is 12.4 equals x, which I'm going to put that in the table, 12.4. So the table is completed and the question is answered. So this would be a lesson on direct proportion. Next lesson will follow with inverse proportion. Until then, bye now.